In my experience working for Fertile Indiana colleges, we work very actively with many Education USA advisors in many different regions of the world. And they're wonderful partners who help you in your outsource recruiting.
The competition is ratcheting up worldwide. Student mobility is showing us that.
A year ago was when I first really came in contact with Education USA, and as someone that has been new to recruiting international students for about 2 years now, I didn't know that an organization such as Education USA really existed. Getting involved with it, a little light went off in my head saying, hey, this is a great resource. There are advisors throughout the world here whose job is to get students to come study in the United States.
They can be a great resource for understanding where students are coming from around the world. I think they're a great resource for understanding education systems around the world if you evaluate or are working with transcripts. They also can keep a pulse on what our perception is in those countries as well as a U.S. institution. So it's great, so when you're reviewing an application, you have that greater understanding than just a simple, oh, this student is from this country. You can put it on to a bigger context.
This is a network of individuals in terms of Education USA that really brings you into the broader view, like a macro view, whether it's Europe, Asia. There are so many opportunities in terms of to getting into the inside aspect of each country. A lot of us are very busy at our daily jobs trying to recruit and retain U.S. students. That when you see the value of attracting international students, they come into the classroom, they enrich the classroom experience, they obviously enrich the student who are enrolled at your school in terms of their cultural understanding of the world. It's so much more global. So the value of an international student is unquestionable.
I've been involved with Education USA, whether it's coming to conferences or connecting with advisors, for probably about the last 3 years now. And Education USA as an organization and Education USA advisors in the last 3 years have taught me so much about the students that it has been more valuable than many of my other experiences in my previous years.
Well, I mean, I think, for me, when I think of Education USA, the fact that you have educational centers literally around the world means that you have access around the world. And so from an institutional perspective, Education USA is a tremendous resource to U.S. institutions because of the level of access that it has around the world. And that access is then combined with a high level of expertise in that they understand the cultural context that they're working in. They understand perhaps what might be some of the challenges and opportunities that exist for students. They have access to a range of institutions on the ground that perhaps even U.S. institutions are not familiar with or aware of. And so from that perspective, they provide a wealth of knowledge to us as an institution, and they become a gateway for students who are looking at wanting to study in the United States.
Their whole purpose aligns right with what our purpose is. It is to develop and give options and opportunities for international students to participate in higher education in the U.S. We went to a regional conference that was Northern Africa and the Middle East. And while we were there, the REAC set us up with the advisor in Tel Aviv in Israel. And through that association, we were able to work with students that we would have not ever been able to connect with. And a donor at Vanderbilt had given full tuition scholarships for several Israeli students, and we had not worked in the country. We didn't understand what we needed to do. And I'm proud to say we have 2 Israeli students on campus that I can directly attribute to working with the center and understanding how to work in the culture within Israel and how that matched up with what we were looking for.
My secondary school was in the DRC, in the Eastern Congo, but In 1996, yes, exactly. And that's where the first war started in the DRC, and by that time I was in Form 4, and so the entire family and most people in the city had to leave the eastern part of the Congo to the south. When the second war started, I was getting ready to go to university also in the DRC, but when the war happened, I just lost any kind of hope. I knew that it was very difficult. And so I knew that even if I leave the country somehow, I wanted to study, to have high education so that in the future I can be able as well to help other people. And so when I got to Zimbabwe, which the challenge was Zimbabwe is an English-speaking country and we are coming from a French-speaking country. So we had to do all we could possibly do to learn first the language and then start to look for opportunity how to study. Here I am, I'm looking for a job. Somebody suggesting me to come to an educational advising center. So, and the director suggested me that I could meet with Rebecca Mano, which I didn't know Rebecca Mano at that time, but he suggested, okay, if you could have an appointment, there is an advisor here called Rebecca Mano. So the first time I made an appointment, I met with Rebecca Mano, and my first meeting with her was really amazing. She was very open, and she told me what the process was. She was more than happy to work with me. And so it gave me this kind of courage, someone doesn't know me, but she was very receptive, talking to me about all the process and how to apply to schools in the West. And she even told me that to come for the second time and look at materials, and so I developed this, first it was one of the times where, you meet with someone the first time and you become a friend. So I developed that friendship the first day, and so I promised that I was coming back.
After about 6 months of coming in regularly to our office and volunteering, he asked if he could apply to the U.S. And we said, absolutely. He had no money. We found funds for him to take the TOEFL, and we found funds for him to take the SAT. And he went to a college fair we held, and that's where he met Juan Camilo from Lynn University.
When I was in Zimbabwe at the college fair, he pulled me aside and he said, I need to talk to you. And it was an exchange of emails, constant emails for like a year and a half. And I brought the case to the president's attention. At Lynn University, we had this presidential scholarship, but we based the presidential scholarship on SAT performance as well. So no SAT, we have Rebecca's word, trust me, he's going to be really good. We have Bernard's words, I'm going to be very good, and nothing else. So I brought these two components to the table, and I say, we got to give him the presidential scholarship this year.
I have no doubt that Bernard will reach his goal, and one day he will be the president of Zaire, if not another post equally as prominent somewhere in the world. We always joke that I've reserved my guest room at the State House in Kinshasa for that day, so that we can come and visit with my family. But I do think Bernard's impact as an international student on campus has been tremendous. That we send one dynamic student from a non-traditional background to a school, and they can impact hundreds of people's lives and changing their perceptions about that part of the world, and that's what Bernard has done.